Hello friends. Now let us take up the third concept, PFT 1B third concept. In the previous two concepts, I explained about functions from real life angle as well as programming angle. Now let us consider the definition of a function. What is the advantage of considering a definition is formally we understand every point in that is required. You should have an overall idea over any element whatever we are learning for the programming. Okay. In the first program, we have written non-function oriented program, that is sequential program. Regardless of its size, it may be having 50 lines or 100 lines, we write it as one block of statement, one block. Because of one block, a lot of disadvantages are there. Now, because of using functions, we can improve the modularity. That means a big task is divided into subtasks, parts and all that. So we can test each and every part and whether it is working properly or not. If all components in a program are working properly, obviously the program should work properly. That's why our debugging job will become very easy. We can test it very easily. Where faulty component is there, we can replace it or repair it. Okay. The same way, now you understand the function like this. Actually, this is our main task. Main task is performed by our program. Now, here, some functions we are engaging. Already I told you in the previous example, reading marks, calculating total marks, calculating average marks, finding pass or fail, evaluating grade, and print report. Like that, functions we define. Now we see you can view it like this. This is the main task. Here functions, function 1, function 2, function 3, function n. Depending on the task, you may create n number of functions. There is no limit on that. Now we see function 1. Now we see it is a small thing. It takes input if it requires. It gives output. Here process. So IPO you can find for every function. So in this manner you understand. So here problem is there, we can test it and set it right. So this is the function oriented program. Now after understanding what is function in this thing and all that, then we consider the definition. And one more thing, once again I am repeating, by collective contribution of all these n functions, your main task is performed. Okay. Now let us see the definition. First one is every function is a block of statements. Every function is created like a single block. It consists of one or more statements. That is the first point. Second point is every function can perform single identifiable task. Already you have seen reading marks, that is only one subtask. Calculating total marks, that is one single identifiable subtask. Calculating average mark, single identifiable subtask. In this context, one very important point I have to share with you. Regardless of the size of that subtask, some subtasks are very, very simple. One line code is enough. Calculating total marks. One line code is enough. Total marks is equal to marks 1 plus marks 2 plus marks 3 plus mark 4 plus mark 5. One statement. And average marks is equal to total marks by number of papers. One statement. Regardless of the size of the subtask, for every identifiable subtask, we have to create a separate function. So, a function can perform single identifiable subtask. Second one, it is independent nature. It is independent. Actually, the same function, if you can use it in some other program also where it suits. So, it is an independent one. It takes its input and gives it output. Okay. So, it is having its independent nature and may take arguments or may not take arguments. Here, in all cases, you need not give input, but it can take input. If it wants either 0 or more input values, you can take depending on its requirement. Okay. And it return 0 or 1 value. Here one point, very important point. A function may take 0 or more number of values as input and process it. But in returning, it returns either 0 or 1 value maximum. That means a function may not return any value, then 0. If it returns only one value. maximum it can return one value. By that, which point you can underline, a function cannot return more than one value. That point you have to understand that. And as I told you, it provides a modularity. Instead of tackling a big task with 100 lines or 1,000 lines, it is dissected into small pieces. So it improves the modularity. Okay. After that, we have to consider one very important point. We classify the functions into two groups: built-in functions and user-defined functions. Built-in functions means part and parcel of the language. Language provides it. We have to call it and use. Already used it also. Input function is there. Int function is there. Just you are calling and using it. Input, according to syntax, you call it and use it. And input, int, call it and use it. Print, call it and use it. Those are built-in functions. Those are provided by the language by itself. Okay, we need not do anything. We call it and use. Those are defined functions. But all our requirements, required functions may not be provided by the language. So, in such case, we have to define our own functions with the necessary functionality. Those are called user-defined functions. In this context, also one real-life example I give you. Actually, in real life, in order to enjoy our life comfortably, we require many services like roads, transport, electricity, water, security, etc., etc. Many things are required. So, if you analyze that, some of the services are provided by the government, like electricity, water, sanitation, security, etc. are provided by the government. So, how can you use? Suppose some electrical failure is there in your home, then call and use. The electrician will come and they do that. You got some security problem, then call the police, they will come. Some fire accident is there, call and use them. Those are like built-in functions. User-defined functions. Suppose you purchase your car, you are not using public transport. You purchase your own car. So you have to appoint your own driver. Government does not appoint the driver for your car. Your servant maid. You have to engage. If you want any personal services and all that, you have to engage. Those are like user-defined functions. So all functions can be classified into built-in functions and user-defined functions. Built-in functions you can use by calling. Best example, input, print, and int, float, etc. functions. User-defined functions, now we are learning, we have to, according to a strict syntax, we have to define our user-defined functions.